For this month's book review, we went back to a classic book that is probably the most sold book on Amazon, I think, of all times. And it is a phenomenal read. And it's so relevant to what we're experiencing now, whether you're a law firm owner, business owner, or whether you're a attorney, a non-attorney. Like, it is a book that describes the reality of what we are all probably experiencing in so many different aspects of business, so many different aspects of life. And the book that we went back to is Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer. Now, this book is a great read, in my opinion. It's probably a book that I revisit at least once every 5 years. I go back and I reread this book because there's so much in it that reminds us of the reality of what we're really trying to do, whether it's in our business, our career, our family. And there's so much insight in such a small book. Now, as you've seen on a lot of the other book reviews, I like to go with audiobooks. So, because I can listen to them while I'm in the gym or while I'm doing different things or while I'm on a hike or a walk. And I will say, if you listen to the audiobook and you listen to it as fast as I do, you'll probably get through the book in about 45 minutes. Now, if you're listening to it at normal speed, it's probably about 2 hours. Now, if you're reading it, maybe you read a little bit slower than people talk. So maybe it takes you about 4 hours to read the book. But I think it is a great book to read. Now, if you've never read the book, Who Moved My Cheese, here's the concept is the book actually takes place where it talks about four characters. And these four characters live or they start off in this maze. And in this maze, they're trying to get to the point where they find the cheese that they need to eat, to survive, to live. And it's their story of going through the maze. And at one point, they find the cheese and they're enjoying it. They're having a good time. But at some point, the cheese at the station that they used to go to actually gets moved. And then what you start to see is the very real story of how four different types of people approach this, where you have some people who see a situation has changed and they're like, all right, I figured this out once before. I'm going to put my shoes back on. I'm going to go back into the scary maze and I'm going to figure out what the new path is. And then you have others who say, you know what? I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to be upset because somebody changed the situation. The rules changed, or hey, the way we used to do things no longer works. So you got a decision to make. Are you just going to stay there and complain about it, which eventually doesn't actually make your situation better? Or are you going to find the courage to actually adapt to the change and then go figure it out? See, this is where we are in so many different ways. Now, we do a lot of work with law firms. So I know law firm, the legal industry very well, but it's probably very common for any type of business. But one area in specific is when it comes down to marketing. As AI has come out and you have so many different ways that you can access information, one of the massive things that is really about to change in a very big way, and it probably already has started changing, is people who rely on Google search to actually get new clients, to get new business. Like, that is a area that is massively going to change, because one of the things that we start to realize is people are not using like Google search engines or search engines period the same way that they used to. Because before, if you put something in a search engine, it's going to give you a list of results. And if you bought Google ads or you bid it on a word, then you fall at the top of the list or on the first page when they go look for those keywords. But when it comes down to AI, when people are asking questions in these AI tools, it's not giving them options of links that they can click on to go do their own research. It's giving them more specific answers. In which I will say, when I looked at it myself, when I am actually researching, trying to find something, my go to is to go directly into AI to ask my question. And instead of it giving me a list of links, which probably have businesses who bid on words, it just gives me the answer that I'm looking for. And as that starts to change more and more, and that starts to get adopted by more and more people, if you've been relying on Google Ads to or Google search to bring you new clients, eventually they're not going to be bringing you as many clients because people won't be using search as much, which you're going to find yourself in a very same situation that the characters in this book found themselves in. Whereas something that used to bring you great opportunity now has changed. And the question is, what are you going to do about it? Now, a couple of things that really stood out to me about this book is the way that it talks about the four characters. And the truth is that I see myself in a little bit of all of the characters because in some areas of my business, I am very eager to go out, try new things. For example, when it comes down to marketing, like we're always trying new things. Like we have never stopped really adapting and learning, whether it be creating content for LinkedIn or whether it be doing blogs or whether it's getting out doing in person to person marketing and branding, whether it's working through our referral partners, like we're constantly trying new things. We're even exploring ideas with AI right now of how to use AI to create relevant videos that speak value to the audiences we are trying to reach because we're constantly testing. So, in those cases, I'm very much like the characters who are willing to just get up and say, hey, the situation has changed. I'm going to go figure it out. And then in other situations, I'm a little more like the characters who are a little reluctant to adapt to change. In some areas, I'm like, this is the way we've done it. I've gotten really comfortable doing it this way. And I realize I'm not as open to adapting to change in some areas. And that became a very eye opening thing for me as I sit back as a leader of a business and ask myself, okay, all right, what areas am I a little reluctant to adapt to change? And then what I had to start figuring out is how do I start protecting the business from my own weaknesses? And in those areas, we started making strategic hires, like hiring people who were good at the things that I was pretty weak at. Is part of the reason why we hired people like content writers, or we hired video editors, we hired an accounting manager, we hired senior accountant. Like we structured our business in a way that other people on the team could fill in the gaps of my weaknesses so that at the end of the day, our customers and our clients are still getting a very superior service. And my personal weaknesses aren't stopping our clients from getting the best value and stopping our audience from getting what they should be getting from us. And as you start to think about that in your own business, is really ask yourself is that, hey, there are some areas where you do have weaknesses. Have you decided or have you identified opportunities for you to either protect your business from your weaknesses, or have you decided to do the work necessary for you to overcome some of those weaknesses? Now, other things in the book that I think really make a very profound statement is they talk about the journey of one of the characters who was reluctant to change finally decides that, hey, you know what? I can't keep doing what I've been doing because things have changed. I need to figure out how to win in this new situation. And the book talks about that character's journey as they're figuring out how to get out of their old habits, how to get out of their own way and start exploring new opportunities for success. And I think there are so many great lessons. And as I said, we work with a lot of law firms. So I know those examples very well. So here's another example that I think law firms are desperately having to figure out. Now, some are a little bit apprehensive to it, but it's coming to the industry whether you like it or not. And that is the use of AI. See, a lot of law firms, when you look at the statistics, a lot of law firms are still using a concept called billing by the hour, meaning they're using whatever hours they work on a matter for a client. They take that times whatever their billable rate is, and that's what they invoice the client. As AI is coming into the picture, AI is actually helping more firms move a lot faster. So where it becomes a great opportunity for you to leverage AI in a smart way. And I am very specific about that, in a smart way, because AI by itself isn't going to solve the problem. You have to be smart and strategic about how you use it. But when you do, it allows you to get solutions or get answers to your clients faster. But at the same time, that means it's taking you less time. So if you're still billing by the hour, when you utilize AI, although it's more efficient and it probably increases customer satisfaction, it also decreases the amount of revenue that you're earning because you're moving a lot faster. And for a lot of law firms, it's part of the reason why they hesitate to use AI, because they recognize, if I use AI, my billing model isn't going to make sense. And so now law firms are really having to think about, okay, all right, what does my billing structure need to look like? Do I need to raise my rates? Am I okay with making less money for this individual case because we'll make it up in volume? Or hey, do we need to switch parts of our case work to flat fee and then do other stuff on a hourly basis? Like, all of these decisions and these factors are things that law firms are having to think about. And if you've never thought about these things before, I would say it is definitely time for you to start exploring them. Now, if you're lost on where to start with it, I think there are a lot of great resources out there, whether you're working with a business coach or I would say a CFO. And maybe I'm biased because we do CFO work for law firms, but a CFO could be a great place to start with that, because what they can do is they can actually walk through the financial math to help you understand what is going on and to help you understand what are the potential implications of the options and the potential decisions that you are looking at or that you are considering. So, if you're looking for a good quick read that I think is packed with a lot of wisdom, a lot of insight, Who Moved My Cheese is a great book for you to add to your reading list. And if you're looking for a little bit more, they also came out with an additional volume to that same book called Out of the Maze. And what it does is it picks up where Who Moved My Cheese ends. So the story you hear in Who Moved My Cheese, there's a volume 2 called Out of the Maze. And it also is packed with a lot of great insight, because it tells the story of the person who was in the maze that decided they were never going to change. Well, it picks up and it tells you more about that person's story, what happened afterwards, and then what their future looked like. So if you're looking for a great read, I think Who Moved My Cheese and Out of the Maze by Dr. Spencer are great books to read. Plus, they're pretty short. Again, I said if you're listening to them at normal speed, you can probably listen to both books in about 4 hours, which means you can spread it out over time, but they're great books for you to check out. So thanks for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Law Firm and Finance Show, where we give you great content that helps you build a more successful law firm. So make sure you hit that subscribe button on all platforms and follow us for more content.